So we're going to talk about the kitchen table module, but we're going to talk about implementation. Now, this is after you've done the first, then you've gotten the commitment, you've done the access gap, you've walked through, you've done their house, you did the interview, you got the information, you know where the thinking is. We went through, we gathered the financial information, right? We went through, got all the statements, got their old 401ks, got their old IRAs, got their money, went through, asked if we could help you in these areas, would you? Focused and got a commitment, guys. That's critical. I can't tell you enough and now, got all their personal information, you're there. Now, one of two things can happen. You could literally still be in the home the very first night. You were there for 21 minutes, 30 minutes, you gathered the information, and let's say they are on your side, they are focused and fired up, they've been praying for this is what they need, this is what they've been waiting for their whole life, they wanted a plan, and you got a commitment, and they're excited, then you can go through and you can do what I'm going to do right now. There's going to be others where it's a little more complicated, and they got this, and they got paperwork and all this stuff, and they feel good, but they want to learn, and you're not in a rush, right? Our job is to be able to lock in them as allies. So all you do is you gather their F&A information, you go back to the office, you input an F&A, right? You put all the information in the SSD, you work with Billy, you taught him how to do it, you scheduled the time to go back 2 days later, 2 days later, you're walking back in the door, and you're going to do the exact same thing. Right? You're going to run this implementation module. Either one, it's almost exactly the same presentation, it's almost the same conversation, and I'll share with you a little bit where it's different. I'm going to do this like you're in the home the first night, right? Because it's just an easier transition. You just went through and you got it, you're built momentum, they're on your side. But guys, it's exactly the same thing, right, in terms of what's going on. If it's a go back, what you want to do is you want to remember, you got to reconnect with them a bit. You got to have the conversation, ask them how their week's been, thank them again for the time, right, and get into, look, we want to share this information, right? So either way, it's going to be the same thing. So what's going to happen is you got the 6-page there, you're going to flip it over to the back and go, look, one of the things that we want to do, and we pride ourselves on, is that we're going to provide access to the education and tools. This isn't just about, right, a financial plan. It's about you having access to the resources and the tools that you need to be able to take advantage of it. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that people really kind of are clear on this. Have you ever heard of the Rule 72? It's one of the most powerful concepts we should have learned in 3rd grade, but most of us didn't. What the Rule 72 does, it tells us how hard our money's working and how long it's going to take for that money to double. So here's an example. Let's say that you invested in, right, you got a 3% rate of return. 72 divided by 3 is 24. Well, what does that mean? Let's say you got your first job when you were 16 years old. If we took that 24 years and we invested, we got money, let's say your parents said, okay, you know what, here's $10,000, right? You got your first job, I'm proud of you, and here, now you can't go get a car, you can't go, this is your retirement. We want to give you a leg up. So you took that $10,000, and let's say you went down to the bank with the horses on it, you put it there, and you forgot about it. What this says is this money's going to double. It's going to double first to 40, and then it's going to double again at 64, right? So that $10,000 becomes 20, and that $20,000 becomes $40,000. Now, how excited are we to have $40,000 waiting for us at 64 years old, right? It's better than nothing, but can we also agree we're probably not going to be completely and totally financially independent? Well, let's say instead of that, you talk to someone from Primerica, and they said, look, we can talk, let's say we got a 9% rate of return over a long period of time, right? 72 divided by 9 is 8, which means that same money starting at 16, now it doubles every 8 years. So it doubles at 24 and 32 and 40 and 48 and 56 and 64. The same $10,000 becomes 20 and then 40 and then 80, 160, 320, and $640,000. Now, if we were getting ready to retire, which bag of money do you think most of us would rather have? The $640,000 or the $40,000? Right? Because the challenge is, right, when we give our money to the bank, they don't wrap it in duct tape, write our name on it. They take it out, they go out and invest it, they make the $640,000 and pay us $40,000. All we did is said, why can't we take that money, put it exactly where they do, and have a better shot for us and our family to have access to the tools that we need? So we said, man, that's critical, so we've got to do that. So how do we do it? And a lot of times people ask, well, I don't understand, how does all this work? So we want to introduce the concepts of investing. Now we know that the market goes up and down and all sorts of crazy, right? So when I say with a client, I go, look, let's say we were going to test this and you want to invest $100 a month for the next 5 months. I got a question. Would you rather be in the red investor that starts at $10 and it goes up over the next 5 months doubles from 10 to 20, or the blue investor where it gets almost cut in half, it almost falls apart, and then it gets back to exactly where it is right now? If you were going to invest, which one do you think would be in your family's best interest, the red one or the blue one? And guys, almost everyone chooses the red one, right? Because that's what we've been taught. It looks better, right? But how this works is you buy investments, right? There's a cost per share. So at $100 invested in a month, when the shares are $10, that means you get 10 shares. The next month, the red investor goes up to $12.50. Now it's about 9 shares, and then about 8 shares, and then about 7 shares. And when it's at $20, you get 5 shares. And they accumulated, right? In the blue investor, it goes down. So they get 20 shares, and then 50 shares, and then 20 more shares, and then back to 10. See, over that period of time, the red investor has 40 shares. His ending share price is $20. The blue investor has 110 shares. His ending price is $10. Well, they both contributed $500. Now, the red investor probably feels great when he talks to his friends because he's like, my investment doubled. Sears, you're a genius, because it went from 10 to 20. And his value, though, is $800. The blue investor's like, oh, my money's exactly where it was. It was $10 before. It's $10 now. But their ending value is $110 or $1,100 because they have the shares that they own. As a company, we like this concept of advances. Advances are permanent. The shares you accumulate, you own. Yes, we like when they go up, but we want to accumulate shares. We get to change the thinking and make sure that we understand how and why things work. Guys, this is one of the most critical things in dollar cost averaging. We go, man, we don't know if it's going to go up or go down, but we know that we can put money in all the time and we can accumulate habits. So we go, okay, so now all of a sudden, Mr. Client, now you've got a little bit of understanding, so let's give you a little test, right? I'm going to ask you, would you like this account? If someone sat down with you, now that we got this game plan, you know the Rule 72, right? You know dollar cost averaging, you understand planning, I want to see if you would like this account. It says they're going to keep all the money for the first 2 to 5 years. Give you a 1 to 4% rate of return on your investment. Right? If you want your money, you're going to pay 6 to 8% to borrow out your own money. They have up to 6 months to give it to you, and if you die, and most of the time, they're going to keep the savings. I got a question for you, Mr. Client. Which of these rules do you like the best? And it's okay if you say none. Right? Now, if you have this account right now, would you want me to tell you that you had it? Right? And I always ask, because some people are like, oh, I'd rather, cover my eyes and put my head in the sand, but no, okay. Now, is there anyone, could you be convinced that this is a good place to save your money? If you understood that all 5 of these rules were inside a program that you had, is there anyone that could convince you that this was a good place to have it? Hopefully no. I got a question. If you could move tonight from this account, how fast would you want out of it? And now is a good answer. Now, see, the challenge is, and people look at this and go, well, is this real? See, this program exists. It's called Cash Value Life Insurance. How Cash Value Life Insurance works is you take your money and you pay for 2 things. You pay a single premium dollar, and that money, some of it goes to your insurance and some of it goes to your savings. Right? The challenge is that if something happens to you and you die, the insurance company is going to pay you your death benefit, but they're going to keep your savings. And the reality is the other side is if you end up canceling, you can take your savings, but then you surrender the death benefit. See, you pay for 2 things, and most of the time you literally only get one. There's something else called buy term invested difference that says, look, let's take the same $300, maybe 100 of it goes to buy you $250,000 of insurance. Now, 2.5 times the life insurance for a third of the cost. Take the other $200 that you had, put that in an account at 9% at 30 years, that money goes to $368,000. And the great thing about buy term invested difference is you get both the insurance and the investments if you have both of them. Right? Buy term invested difference gives us the opportunity to say, look, if you pay for 2 things, how many things should you get? 2. See, if you have one of those programs, let's go over these rules. Let me show you where this works, because we have to understand, we've got to have access to the tools and the education. Right? We do the best we can. If you had one of these programs, all we can ever do is do the best we can with the information that we've got. Right? And if you got the policy, if this is a go back, we'll do a little caveat. If this is a go back and you have the policy, have photocopy their policy and have highlighted the rules. Now, you should not have to go through all 5 of them. In fact, it's a really good recommendation not to, because by the time they've seen 2 or 3, it's very easy to accidentally make them feel stupid, and they're not stupid. They just made decisions based on the information that they have, right? So show them enough for them to go, oh my God, I got to get out of here. But then let's spend most of our time being positive and excited about, implementation and where the changes that we can make. So then what happens is you flip back to the back page, and this is how it all kind of comes together. Is we're going to talk about locking in and securing their advances. See, look, right? Let's say our income is $2,500 a month. If something, God forbid, happened to that, how long would our family be okay? And usually the answer is not that long, because we don't have any money saved. See, that's the need for life insurance, is that if something happens to us, our family has to start over. We don't have enough money to say, look, all of the advances, all the education, all the work, all the time, all the energy is protected. So we said, man, we've got to make sure that we've got the right amount of life insurance. Then the question says, what kind? Well, cash value or term. Traditionally, term makes a lot more sense. Then the question becomes, okay, how much? How do we figure out the right amount of coverage to be able to lock in our advances? So it's very simple. Let's say your income's $30,000 a year. Let's say you have $30,000 of life insurance. If something, God forbid, happened, how long would that last? A year. Let's say you had $60,000 of life insurance and something, God forbid, happened. How long would that last? 2 years. Let's say you had $90,000 of life insurance and something, God forbid, happened. How long would that last? Right? 3 years. Right? But let's say you had $300,000 of life insurance. Right? Some would say 10 years, but really if we took that money and invested it and we were able to get a 10% rate of return, what that would do is pay our family $30,000 a year in passive income, or that $2,500 a month. See, life insurance is designed to lock in the advances, to be able to say, look, I've worked hard to create this income, to be able to create the lifestyle that we've got. If I die, I want to make sure that my family gets to maintain where they are so that they can build from here. Right? The wealthy say we're going to build on from one generation to the next. We have an opportunity to introduce that same thinking that says it's not just about paying the bills, hopefully. It's not just about making sure that someone's taken care of. It's about locking in the advances that we've spent our life creating and making sure that our kids can build on top of it. That the people that count on our income can build on top of it. That the options and opportunities that if we're here, we can help present for them, they can still take advantage of if, God forbid, we're not here. Right? So we go, that's the need for life insurance. So let's say the need was $300,000. How long do any of us like paying for life insurance? I mean, it's not one of those things that we wake up in the morning and go, oh, today's the day. This is awesome. Well, yes, we need to lock in the advances. But you know what we also need to do? We need to secure the advances. We need to save and accumulate. We've got to roll over any of the money in the old 401ks. We've got to make sure that the IRAs are accumulated. We go, look, our number one goal is we got to create the habits to $25,000, right, to get the accounts, and then we got to get that money daily managed. We've got to have the managed accounts taken care of. We've got to have someone actively looking at our money daily and making sure that not just the investments, but the portfolio, that the allocations, that what's going on is current with what's going on in the land. Right? If we've got, right, do you think anyone that had $250,000 or $1 million would let a day go by without someone actively managing it? Well, why would we have an account and a CD of $26,000 and an old 401k we rolled over and it's just sitting there? We can't do that. We got to get that money working for us, because we got to lock in our advances, and then we need to accumulate all the resources we can so we can secure our advances, so we can change the way our kids look at the future. We can make sure that they got an amazing lifestyle and that their vision is a little bit higher and what's possible for them, and then we can build on that. See, at the end of the day, how this works, we go, look, if we could put together a program that gives you the short-term protection you need and locks in the long-term security and advances that you want, and we could do that, right, to be able to make that a reality, if we could do that for the $600 commitment that you talked about, is there any reason that you wouldn't let us make that a reality? See, because that's what we've got to be able to do, is we've got to be able to lock in these advances, make sure that we got the proper coverage. We got to secure the advances, right, with the investment stuff, and we got to use the resources that we got at our disposal to do it. And if the commitment was $600, then this is our opportunity to go, this is how we're going to use it. This is why this commitment is so vital, guys, is because it's the only way to really get them to be able to go, okay, I understand that this is a package and that we've got to move forward. Now, if you're doing a go back, what you're going to do is you get that yes, right? Yes. If you could, yes, you could use the $600. Yes, they can make. Now, how is it going to work? You now turn to the financial needs analysis as an illustration, because that's all the financial needs analysis is an illustration. The financial needs analysis does not move people to do anything, right? You and I move people to do things. The concepts, the education, the tools move people. The F&A simply illustrates. Now, it's a phenomenal tool, and it'll illustrate exactly what to do, so you want to do it, and you want to provide that resource and that for people. But you and I have to be very clear that all it does is illustrate. If you're doing the implementation on the first, then what you do is go, okay, can you give me a sec, grab a piece of paper, right, and you run the rates, and you figure out, okay, well, so you give them three options. Option one, $300,000 in this case, $100,000, right, would be $89. Take the rest of the money and get a 9% rate of return. That money would grow to $942,000, right, at, $600,000 of coverage on dad, right, $300,000 on mom, which is closer to their income, right? It's $171. Take the difference, right? And if we were to totally max out, right, we could play the 20, the 10, right, and go to $300,000. Talk to them about a step-by-step game plan. This isn't a one-size-fits-all, and it's not a slam bam, we're never going to see you again. This is going to be step one. This is step one of this process. We want to make sure that we get everything together, right? If you don't have your securities license, still run this, but you got to get somebody in there that's securities licensed. Why? Because a life insurance policy locks in their advances, but it doesn't secure their advances, and it's not okay for that not to happen. Make sure you use the client layout on the SSD, and you've got the step-by-step game plan of what you got to get done, and you take that responsibility. If they've got old 401ks or old IRAs, you make sure that you get somebody in there to be able to roll that over. Plus, you're building your doggone assets, right? When you get your securities license and then you get your Series 65 license, all of those assets get transferred over to you and transferred over to Billy. This is about building assets for Billy. It's about being able to lock this stuff in as an opportunity to legitimately make this difference. Guys, you go from here, they say yes, you go from here, go to the paperwork, go to the Turbo app and get it done, right? But don't finish there. Right? Go back and talk to them about coming to Wednesday night. Go back and talk to your Oz night. Make sure that you're talking to them about what it means to be an ally for Billy. And then as he grows, he's going to keep you in the loop. And as he gets promoted, you're going to keep him in the loop and utilize the tools. Take the moment to be able to ask them would they go on Yelp and to help Billy grow his reputation, right? Help him do that. Get online. Help him set up the account. Help him say something nice about Billy and what's going on. Use Billy's first name and last name. Don't say my sister, my cousin. Use Billy's full name. Use your name because you're the licensed person that's there. Tell the story. Let's start building this. Utilize these tools. Yes, we want to close this access gap. We want to make sure that people lock in their advances. We want to make sure that people secure their advances. We want to make sure that they have access to getting out of debt and putting their kids to college and all of those tools, guys, and it's a phenomenal thing to do. We want to lock in Billy's business. We're laying the foundation for him. That is our job. That is what we do. If you're on a first and you're in the implementation phase of the first, go through and be nice and be polite, and if it's not there, gather the information, go do the F&A and come back. This isn't about pushing a sale. This isn't about making $300 today. This is about being able to take care of this family. If you're doing that and the opportunity, if you're halfway through and there's hesitancy, disregard. You don't have to show the quotes. You don't have to do any of that. Get the F&A, come back, and go through it again. If you're delivering the F&A and you did the first part, walk through. Keep talking to them. Paint the picture. Put in the time to learn how the tools work. Right? Primerica is creating them. Our strategic partner is building the insurance and the investments. We don't have to be experts at that. They've built the financial needs analysis. You don't have to be experts at that. Let them do all that. But you and I can be great at developing our market and being clear at communicating this stuff, providing the education, providing the resources to this. Learn the modules, learn the conversations, and lock in them as allies. Move them to advocates with an opportunity for associates. Because if someone could make $200 to $900 every time they helped a family implement the lock-in advances and secure the advances and create passive income for themselves, they got a shot to close that access gap. We've got a legitimate shot to show somebody who's been abandoned that financial security is within their reach and financial freedom is within their fight. We've got the tools and the resources to do it. Let's take advantage of this thing. Now again, remember that this is designed. This is the speakers, right? This is the opinion of speakers, not that of Primerica, right? I'm supposed to have a slide here, and I'm not going to write it. And that this isn't for distribution. This is our communication. This is our training, our tools. Make sure that you realize that, and we take advantage of the resources we've got. We'll see you soon.